Respect the beard. With a great beard comes a great responsibility. Beard. Don't let Father Christmas steal it from you. It's the Sunnah, and the Muslims have been growing their beards for much longer than Father Christmas has been growing his beard. Assalamu alaikum guys, this is Sam and welcome back to another video with me here at Sam of Somalia. This video isn't actually about beards, despite the little intro. This video is true to the mission of the channel to motivate and support anybody who wants to learn Somali, whether they are Somali or not. So this video is actually about my language learning journey. Because people who learn languages, like people who go out of their way to learn languages, are a pretty strange bunch, really. Especially people who choose to learn languages from a young age, because languages are really difficult. Even if it's your own language, even if you grow up in a home with your family speaking a language, when you come to learn the grammar and stuff of that language, languages are really difficult and require a skill set from you that not everyone has. You need to, at a young age, you need to put yourself out there and make loads of mistakes, because language learning is just like that. The list of Somali language mistakes that I've made, even on my channel, even on content that I planned for you guys, the amount of Somali language mistakes that I've made on my channel and stuff. But I'm a student, we're all students, so so really, the people who go out of their way to choose to learn Somali, or choose to learn any language, are a pretty strange bunch. And it's always interesting when I speak to other people who learn lots of languages, I speak to polyglots and stuff, but I've seen in the comments that people think that I'm one of these YouTube polyglots. I'm not. I'm nowhere near a linguist like them. I have a genuine love for the Somali language, and I also happen to have a degree in Arabic and stuff. But on this channel, I don't really want you guys to think of me as one of these polyglots, because I'm not. I'm just somebody who's on a journey to learning the Somali language, and I'm trying really hard, and I'm just sharing my discoveries and stuff with you guys along the way. So anyway, I remember, I've been on loads of holidays with my family and stuff. I remember from a really young age, I went on holidays, not every year, but every few years, and they were pretty your standard white middle class holidays, package holidays with Thompson Cook or whatever. But it's still I remember hearing people speak other languages and stuff when we were on holidays and stuff, and I thought that was really beautiful. I remember even learning how to say please and thank you in other languages and stuff, but I never really associated that with school. My dyslexia meant that I really struggled with school, and not everybody does, of course. Everyone's dyslexias affect them really differently, but my dyslexia meant that reading was just really difficult for me. My own language was really difficult for me until today. My spelling is pretty awful, and even reading aloud, I remember even thinking about it now, I couldn't even breathe properly. I remember in drama and English and stuff, when we had to read books aloud to our class, I remember not even being able to breathe properly and stuff. I'd stumble on every word, and I don't know if it was a confidence thing, or if it was actually a reading thing, or it was as if my body just malfunctioned when I had to read aloud and read and raise my voice to the whole class and stuff. But I couldn't really do it, and it's why it's so amazing, actually, since embracing Islam, obviously within reading the Quran, that's almost all gone. Just learning the Quran has just calmed my heart so much towards doing that. I give khutbah now, and I lead salah now in our masjid here in Cornwall and stuff, and, it's just the sound of the Quran and reading the Quran, even though it's in another language, it's softened my heart more than even reading in my own language was, subhanallah. And so that was pretty much my whole school life. And I even have a couple of teachers who, I have a teacher who was actually a geography teacher, but he taught us English, and I remember him exposing me completely for my terrible knowledge of English. I remember him calling me up to the front of the class, and him having there and there on the board and stuff, and telling me to explain, telling me that I have to explain the difference between them in the class, and I had no idea. Obviously I know that they are, that the abbreviation of they are becoming there means they are. There with an I in it is to do with possession, and there is over there. I know that now, but at the time, year 7 Sam didn't know that, and I was humiliated. I was humiliated in front of the class because of that. And anybody watching this who was in my class, who was in my English class in year 7, will know exactly the day when this happened. And yeah, because I was humiliated and I was miserable because of that. And I was always like convinced that I wasn't even really good at my own language, let alone learning other languages. And like I didn't make a connection between like learning to say please and thank you in another language in another country with something that could be done at school. Because most people in the UK over here, we learn French. Obviously, like some of you guys know that I did a little bit of my school in New Zealand. I went to Rotorua Boys High for a little while in year 9. But like most of my school was in the UK, and yeah, like I was constantly kind of made to feel like I just wasn't really good at my own language, let alone learning another language. And you know, we learned French. That's what I was talking about. Like in the UK, we learn French or German or Spanish. Like in New Zealand, like we have the choice of learning Japanese or Chinese in New Zealand, but that makes sense for those guys. Like you guys in like Australia, New Zealand, like it makes sense for you guys because of where you are to learn Chinese and Japanese. So, but here in the UK, like I had a French teacher. And I remember my French teacher, like when we came to choose our options for our GCSEs, I remember my French teacher just saying to my parents, Sam's just not a good enough linguist. You know, Sam's just not a really good enough linguist to do French GCSE. And I wasn't allowed to do a language at GCSE. And you know what, like that was the point where I reached a maturity where like I had a chip on my shoulder then. Like, I remember going home and I liked languages at that point, like, or at least I understood that I liked languages in the real world. In the classroom, I didn't. In the classroom, like French made me pretty miserable, but that teacher made me pretty miserable, and that was probably why she said that. But I remember going home and like first picking up a Chinese book. Like I'd learned some Chinese when I was in New Zealand, and I remember coming back and like first starting to teach myself Chinese, and I realized like when I taught myself, I could learn stuff. And when I teach myself, maybe because of my dyslexia, like I particularly preferred kinesthetic learning and stuff, and that particularly meant that I needed to find my own styles of teaching myself languages. So I remember learning Chinese, and I remember like I built such a rage that she put me down like that. Like I was so upset that opportunity to do like a GCSE in a language, which meant a lot to me at that point, was just robbed from me. Because like a teacher didn't care, didn't understand what my language learning was like. So you, out there, you know who you are. If you're my French teacher from year 9 and you told me that I couldn't do a GCSE, I have a degree in Arabic now and I'm better than you at languages. So yeah. So shut up. No, I'm sure you're a very, very nice person. She's a very, very nice person. But, so yeah, anyway, like I obviously at school I didn't do any languages. Wasn't allowed to do any languages. And then obviously went to college, did like fast track Spanish, like did GCSE AS and A2 in 2 years. And whereas most people within the class, obviously most of them have to do like GCSE throughout the whole of their school life. And then they do, you know, AS and A2 at college. But I did all of it just in the 2 years of college and came up with an A in Spanish, and then went to a university called SOAS. Some of you guys know that I graduated from SOAS, and that's considered, like in the field of Arabic language, in the Western world anyway, like it's considered like probably one of the best universities in the world, in the Western world, for learning Arabic. Like any Islamic institution is better than it, but it's the best that the Western world has in like Arabic language learning. And then obviously there, like I discovered my love for the Somali language as well. And any of you guys who buy my book as well, you'll know, you'll read a lot more about that, about kind of the journey to discovering Somali language and stuff too. So yeah, so that's, and then obviously coming to see Somali, and I think like one of the main things that I love the most about learning Somali is that I saw that in the real world much more before I saw it in books in a classroom. Like obviously in the book there's more details, but like I went to Uganda and I met loads of Somalis in Uganda. I went to the Netherlands and I met loads of Somalis in the Netherlands, and constantly was like learning bits of Somali and, you know, in those different countries and stuff too, and really saw it applied in like a real world context. And yeah, and then obviously like I studied Somali at university before I met my wife, so like, you know, I never really saw it in like a marriage context where like my wife and I would talk to each other in Somali, and even like, even my son, like sometimes I like speak to my son in Somali. Like I see all of my in-laws speak to my son in Somali, so like I pick him up, I'm like Subah wanaagsan, galab wanaagsan, ma fiican tahay maanta ya Yusuf and stuff. But yeah, so like that's something really beautiful about Somali, that it's been very real world for me. Like I never really had a hunger for it initially in textbooks and stuff like I do now. Can't get enough of a Somali textbook now, but yeah, so that's kind of the journey to learning languages really. And yeah, so obviously like any of you guys, actually there was a Q&A that I did a while ago that was about like what languages do I speak, and yeah, so obviously English is my first language. I grew up in a white English home that only speak English. Learned Spanish at college. did a degree in Arabic and learnt Somali at the end of my university as well, did a module in Somali. And then I train a martial art called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and like I thought it would be quite cool to learn some Brazilian Portuguese as well. So like I learned some Portuguese, and my wife is like fluent practitioner in British Sign Language, so I learned a lot of British Sign Language too. So yeah, so those are kind of my languages. That's kind of the journey from me going from being not really respected even in my own language to like working really hard and having to push through that, and even utilize an element of revenge and of having a chip on my shoulder to sort of push myself through, really. But you know, I don't hold any of those grudges now. Like you might think in my heated you know, like this, you might think that I do, but I don't really, you know. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has loosened my tongue so that like to help me pronounce Arabic and help me pronounce the sounds in Somali and stuff too, alhamdulillah. So yeah, there's a dua in the Quran. I'll leave with this dua where it's in Surah Taha, when it's from like the mouth of Musa alayhi salam, but obviously it's in the Quran, so it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's where he says, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. So you know, it's like saying, Ya Allah, like ease amri, like ease my situation, and like and loosen the knot in my tongue so that people might understand my speech. And although that dua is specifically to do with like Musa, the challenge of Musa alayhi salam when he was approaching Fir'aun, but you know, obviously but perhaps has other applications in your own du'as for when you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to loosen your tongue for learning languages and stuff too, perhaps. But yeah, so that's it from me for now. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, then don't forget to like and share it. Also, if you like the Respect the Beard video, the t-shirt, then let me know. If you like the with a great beard comes a great responsibility mug, as a present from my sister. When I first embraced Islam, she got me this present. Yeah, when I first started growing my beard, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, as I say, if you like this video, I hope you did, don't forget to like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and have a nice rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.